Hey guys, what's up, guys? S.Moore here. College Board just recently put out an AP testing guide, and I wanted to go ahead and give you that information. It'll be helpful leading up to the exam day on May 20th. But I took it and I consolidated or condensed it because the materials that they had were like 20 pages long. A lot of words. So if you want to take a look at those materials, you can. It's linked right here on the first slide where it says college adapted from College Board materials. Down below, you can see that. You can click on that, and it'll take you through the whole thing. But here is all the important information in a nutshell. Most important thing is to know when the test is happening. So it's going to be happening for AP Language on Wednesday, May 20th at 11 a.m. Now that's different for every single obvious test, right? So you need to pay attention and go on to College Board or your AP Classroom and see when your other tests are. But for AP Language, it will be Wednesday, May 20th, 11 a.m. Now, if you logged into AP Classroom, it would say 2 p.m. that you're taking my test, the AP Language test, at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, May 20th. That is not the case. They are based on the East Coast, so they're using Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be using Pacific Standard Time. So Wednesday, May 20th, 11 a.m. is when your test is. Everybody will be taking, across the world, will be taking the AP Language test at the same exact time. We will take it at 11 a.m., people on the East Coast, 2 p.m., and then say people in like Madrid, Spain, they'll be taking it at 8 p.m. because it's that many hours later, right? Not convenient for them, but works for us. So Wednesday, May 20th, 11 a.m. I can't reiterate that enough. Don't think it's 2 p.m. It's at 11 a.m. Now, throughout this presentation, I'm going to be talking about the following: the AP exam e-ticket and what that does for you, what to expect that day, some upload options you have, what you should do to create a perfect testing environment, steps you can take before the exam day. We'll be talking a little bit about exam security, and then finally, at the end of this PowerPoint, which I will link on the classroom, there'll be some College Board links that you can reference. So let's jump in. Exam e-ticket. The exam e-ticket actually will be emailed to you 2 days prior to your test. So you will receive for the AP Language test your exam e-ticket on May 18th. Each of the different tests you are enrolled and registered for will be sending a different e-ticket. You're not going to use one e-ticket for every single test. So if you look on the example here, it says your AP Biology exam e-ticket, and that would be, it would say AP Language and Composition e-ticket for our test. So you'll get it 2 days before the test. Now, if you do not receive it for some reason, you check your email 2 days before the test and it never comes through, don't panic. You're still registered, but it just, for some reason, emails aren't working for you. You can check that, and there's a link at the end for you to see how you can receive emails from College Board. But if you don't receive the email, don't panic. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your AP Classroom and you will find your e-ticket there. So there is another option. One thing to remember, you cannot share this e-ticket. That means no forwarding of emails, no giving it to somebody else. If you do, it will invalidate the test. College Board has put specific security measures in place. And so if that e-ticket gets shared, it will invalidate your test. When it is time to take the test, you will go to your email or you'll go to your AP Classroom and you'll look at your e-ticket, and there'll be a link here. It's this big yellow bar and it'll say go to exam. That is what you are going to click to access the exam website. So pay attention to that. Make sure you note that what your AP ID is here. It'll be listed, and then you'll proceed that way. Okay. You have to have an e-ticket to take the test, just an FYI. Now, what to expect the day of the test? Well, you want to log in 30 minutes before the test begins, okay? By logging in 30 minutes before the test begins, that will give you ample time to go through their process of logging in. They're going to be asking security questions to ensure that it is you that is trying to take the test, okay? Lots of security measures because this is the first time that College Board has assigned the AP test online. Okay, so plan for that. 30 minutes. 30 minutes from 11 a.m. would be 10:30 a.m. So on Wednesday, May 20th, my encouragement would be to boot up everything early and then log in at 10:30, right? Make sure you are ready to rock. What you'll see if you look down below here, you'll see it'll look like this, right? When you log in, when you push go to exam, you'll go ahead and put in that AP ID that is on your exam ticket. And you'll see on the bottom, it says time until exam starts. And that will be the countdown. And you'll push continue and go on. Now, one thing to keep in mind you are going to have only 2 tabs available. So what you'll do is it'll pop up and you'll be able to have the prompt, and then you'll be able to open another tab, and that will be where you will type your response. Okay, only 2 tabs open. You can't have a plethora of tabs because it voids your test because it looks like you are cheating or you're trying to collaborate. Okay, we'll talk about materials you can have later on and how that all works, but 2 tabs is what you're allowed. You have to use specific browsers. The Internet Explorer browser is not something that will work for your test. So if you don't have Chrome or Firefox or Safari or Edge, you need to go ahead and download Chrome. Chrome is free for everyone. So just go to download Google and download Chrome, and it should be there. Or you can use one of the other approved browsers, just not Internet Explorer. And let's be honest, you shouldn't be using Internet Explorer anyway. It's old and outdated. Okay. Now, a thing to remember, once you log in, once you click that e-ticket and it says go to exam, you want to make sure that you don't hit the back or refresh browser buttons that exist in the top left, because that will go ahead and log you out. So just leave as is, even when it has that 30-minute countdown, it will go ahead and load up. You just need to not hit back or refresh. Do not get impatient. It will come eventually. And if you're having issues with tech, there are ways to work around that, and we'll figure that out later, okay? You also will need to be mindful about how to adjust your screen to have a side-by-side view, okay? In order to keep your eye on the timer, which I'll talk about in a second, the timer will exist on your prompt page. But in order to keep your eye on the timer and also your response in the text that exists, you need to make sure that you know how to do a side-by-side screen view. I've given you like a little image of an example here. If you don't know how to do this, what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to go to YouTube or Google and type in how to make screen side by side for whatever type of computer that you have. If it's a Mac, put how to make screen side by side for Mac, or how to make screen side by side for Windows or for Chrome. Okay. That's just something that would be helpful. That way you can see the prompt page on one side of your screen and the document on another. On the prompt page, one thing that you need to be mindful of is there will be a timer that is displayed for you. That timer will include, to start, when the testing window opens, 45 minutes. Now, at 11 a.m., that timer will pop up and there'll be 50 minutes on the clock, okay? 45 minutes to write your essay and 5 minutes to submit, okay? 45 to write, 5 to submit. Now, when it hits that 5-minute mark, the timer is going to turn red. When you hit the 5-minute mark, why it's turning red is it's telling you, hey, it is time for you to submit your work. You get 45 minutes to write this document, okay, or this essay. And so you need to be mindful of the time. You need to figure out, and leading up for the next few weeks, you need to practice doing timed writes where you time yourself to ensure that you can write that essay, analyze a piece, and write the essay in 45 minutes. If you do not submit your essay within that 50-minute block, if time runs out and you do not submit it, that's it. There's nothing you can do. You lost track of time. There are obviously exceptions to that, like say your computer crashes or something happens, and then we can deal with that. But if it's just testing as normal and you just run out of time because you didn't manage the time, that's it. Now, at the end of the 45 minutes, wherever you are, I want you to submit that work, okay? Don't say you get an intro and a body in and you are freaking out. For some reason, it didn't work out. Time got away from you. I'd rather you submit that intro and that body to get a score, because they're going to score you on what you did well versus not putting anything in at all, okay? But you got to get it submitted by that 50-minute mark. Now, some upload options that you have. There are 3 separate upload options. There's copy and paste, attach a text, and then this here says attach a photo. Now, if I were you, I would encourage you guys to stick with the copy and paste option. Since we use Google Docs and you're familiar with it, what you can do is as you have that side-by-side screen, right, and you type your Google Doc here, all you have to do is highlight the whole thing, Control-C, Control-V, or highlight, right-click, copy, right? And then you're going to go to the testing window and you're going to just put it in a box, paste it, and then you will submit. It's the easiest way, in my opinion. You all know how to do copy paste. That would be my encouragement. Another option they give you is to attach a text. So if you wanted to type something up in, say, Microsoft Word, or you wanted to type something up in Google Docs and save it as a PDF, or you are doing it in Notes because that's all you have and you want to save it as a .txt, that's fine. You'll just need to make sure you save it and then upload it and then push submit. The benefit of using Google Docs is Google Docs autosaves, whereas Microsoft Word and some of the other typing applications do not. So if you lose something or mess up or something crashes or whatever, at least your essay is saved and you can restart everything out and get back in. Now, I know quite a few of you guys have been interested in maybe handwriting your pieces. Here's the thing. Listening to the webinar, you get up to 5 photos that you can upload if you handwrite it. Okay. If you choose to handwrite it, though, you cannot open it on a computer. You have to use whatever device you're going to be using to take the photos. So say that you want to handwrite it and you're going to attach photos of that essay later on. That means that you need to come up, you need to bring the prompt up on your phone or a tablet, and you're going to actually have to use that. So imagine having your phone, right? And you bring the prompt up on your phone and it's this small, right? Or a little bit smaller because my phone's massive, right? Now, if you had an iPad or a Surface and you wanted to do it that way with the camera, that's fine. But just be mindful that if you choose to attach photos, and you need to bring the prompt up on whatever device you're going to be using to attach those photos. And then similar to the text, you are going to go ahead and upload it, submit it, and then push submit. Now, also something to remember, you have to push that submit button by the end of that 5 minutes. So at 5 minutes, if you're like, I have a couple more minutes to write, I'll get it submitted, no problem, I wouldn't chance it. The minute the 5-minute mark rolls around, I encourage you to stop and start to figure out how to start uploading and submitting. You have to push submit. Now, many of you guys, if you push submit by the end of the 5 minutes, but your bandwidth or your Wi-Fi is slow, what will happen is it's like turning to upload. As long as you push, they said, as long as you push submit by the end of the 5 minutes, even though it's still like uploading, it will be okay. You'll be fine. Okay. So if the 5 minutes runs out, but your picture is still uploading or your document is still uploading, or you copy and paste and push submit and it's still like processing, that's okay. You do want to wait. You don't want to close out that browser until you receive a confirmation of submission. Your document has been submitted or your test has been submitted. Okay. It's just really important to do that. Now, if you're waiting there forever and it doesn't do anything, then that's when you need to reach out. We need to figure out how we move forward. Okay. One more thing as far as submission goes, at the top of your submission, so if you're typing it out, you have to include your APID, which is going to be found on your e-ticket, and your initials. So I gave you an example down here. So say this is a doc and you're going to go ahead and copy and paste the whole thing. At the top needs to be typed out APID with your ID number. It's usually going to be 8 numbers or so, I think, and your initials first and last. That has to be included on your submission or else they will invalidate your test. Okay. Now, testing environments. Some ways to kind of create a good testing environment. The first way is to find a quiet space to test. So start thinking about where are you going to go in your household to ensure that you have quiet. Make sure you notify family or whoever's in your household that you're going to be testing for the next 50 minutes or hour, and ask them if maybe they can keep the noises down or go outside or something of the nature so as to avoid distractions. Speaking of distractions, you do want to remove the distractions that exist within your household. So I would encourage you to turn your phone off or put on do not disturb just in case people are texting or social media highlights are coming up, right? I would encourage you to have a water bottle next to your testing area just in case you get, anxious and you're thirsty or something. That way you don't have to get up in the middle of it and you can go ahead and just stay where you're at and kind of grind through. You really want to avoid like tech disruptions. So one thing that I encourage is plug in your device, right? So take your power cord, make sure it is plugged in so you don't have like the issue of low battery or your computer shuts off. And then ask everyone in your household to maybe hold off playing video games or streaming like Netflix or Hulu or any music or YouTube during that time to ensure that you're preserving the bandwidth so that nothing goes wrong tech-wise. A couple do's and don'ts. You're not allowed any online annotation. So, if you had an app that allowed you to annotate a PDF or whatever, or a screen, you cannot use those. However, you can, if you have a printer, print out the passage and annotate by hand. Additionally, if you have Google Docs and you're typing there, you can use the grammar and spell check there. So that is kind of a plus and a bonus, helps you along. By doing all these things, you're going to be creating a great testing environment for yourself. Some steps you can take before the exam, leading up to the exam. Okay. So the first thing you need to do, step one, is you need to check your contact information. I sent a remind text out reminding everybody to look to make sure that they had the College Board emails coming through. If you do not have any College Board emails coming through, what you're going to do is you're going to go to myap.collegeboard.org, which is your AP classroom. You're going to log in. At the top right, you're going to click on your profile picture. It's like just a little thing with your name. Click there, go to account settings, and then you want to look at the email address that you signed up with to ensure that it's accurate and correct, that there's no misspellings or typos, and that is the email that you want to receive information from. You are then going to click update. Okay. If you do not know how to do this process, or you want kind of information for that, at the end of this PowerPoint, I've linked a specific link that guides you through the steps to check to ensure you're receiving those emails. Step number 2 is you want to check your tech or your device. You need to decide if you're going to use Google Doc or if you're going to handwrite the piece. If you are going to use Google Doc and you're going to use your computer to type it up, one thing that they did tell us is if you have the Grammarly plugin, if you use Grammarly or you have the Grammarly plugin, the test will not work. For some reason, Grammarly messes things up. So you're going to need to remove that plugin. Now, you'll be able to check that on May 4th, which I'm going to talk about in a second, to see if that's actually the case. So if you're like, I have no idea, May 4th, you'll have a better indicator whether or not you do. And I encourage you to, if you do know that you have the Grammarly plugin, go ahead and remove that. If you don't know how to remove that, I linked a YouTube video that you can use to kind of guide you through that process. Or you can reach out and somebody will help you. Me. Step 3, so this is where that May 4th comment came from. On May 4th, College Board has decided that they're going to provide you with a demo opportunity. That demonstration opportunity, essentially, it'll allow you to go on and see how everything's going to work. It'll allow you to kind of go through the process of uploading or copying, pasting, and submitting so that you are ready to do that. And it kind of mimics the test day, experience, I guess. So on May 4th, you're going to click, I'll send a remind out on Google Classroom and on Remind, but you're going to click on a website and it's going to take you to their demo page. You're going to enter in, they're going to email you with your AP ID. You're going to enter into the demo page, and then it'll walk you through the steps you will take to submit. If you try on May 4th and it doesn't work, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to contact the teacher, me, to troubleshoot. I have some options that I can walk you through, okay? Now, and then finally, step 4, to prepare for the exam, you want to gather what you need and different pieces you need for the exam day. So items like your exam e-ticket, which you'll have 2 days prior via email, the exam day checklist, which I'm going to go over in just a second, whatever device you're going to use, you want to check that your internet or data is good to go. You want to get together any notes or study guides. Now, the thing about the notes and the study guides, those notes and those study guides, they have to be downloaded if you're going to reference them. So they need to be downloaded to your computer. You can't access them like during the test on your drive, because that will essentially trigger a collaboration violation. They're going to think that you're like working with other people. So you have to download those things. If you're not sure, or you don't have a printer and you don't know how to download those aspects, what I would ask you to do is I would ask you to take a sheet of paper and invest in writing some of those things down. On my website, I've included a kind of cheat sheet, 2-page rhetorical analysis format page that I think will be useful the day of the test. And I've also included a new list of rhetorically accurate verbs broken down by category. So you can reference those there. Remember, you have to download these things, or you have to print them, or you have to write them down, because you don't want to trigger, something and they invalidate your test. And then finally, the little note that I have there at the bottom, it's linked. There are exam 2020 YouTube videos that you can watch. These are different than the exam videos where they walk you through lessons. These are like, here's what you should consider leading up to the exam day. So if you want to take a look at those, you can. That's the playlist link down there. We're almost done. Thanks for bearing with me. Finally, exam security. Now, exam security, College Board has been very, very mindful to say over and over and over again that they're taking specific security precautions to ensure that people are not cheating on this test. They're calling them very sophisticated security measures, and honestly, I don't know what they are, but their goal is to minimize cheating. So, my suggestion to you, don't even attempt it. Don't even, walk that fine line of, oh, I'm going to look things up on the internet. First and foremost, you don't have a lot of time to write. And so I wouldn't recommend you spend your time doing that way. They are going to be scanning the responses that you submit with a plagiarism detection software, and they are going to be sharing your guys' essays with us, right? So this is the first year we're actually going to receive your essays back. So we'll kind of know if things are, a little off base or whatever. So just keep in mind, do not cheat. They did say that those that violate security measures, they will face consequences. And one of those consequences is that your names are going to be reported to the college admissions office. And you will have a flag on your name for like attempted cheating. So you don't want to do that. Additionally, they will cancel your exam scores, your AP exam scores, and that would just be awful. So I'm encouraging you, just don't cheat. Okay. You guys are smart enough and you practiced hard enough to know like how to approach this test. I encourage you to stick with the stuff that we know. You can use the resources I provide you, just no copying or having somebody else do it for you. Okay. And then finally, this is kind of the breakdown of how timing is going to go. You want to log in 30 minutes prior, you have 45 minutes to write, and then 5 minutes to submit. And that's obviously different for each test. History and English, you guys will have this timeline. If it's biology or chemistry or math, there is a different format, and you could check that out on College Board. If you don't know how to find it, reach out for those other tests, and I'll go ahead and forward that to you. And then there'll be some links that you guys can reference, on this PowerPoint when I do send it to you on Google Classroom. All right, finally, to round out, there is one more thing I want to show you, and you can get this on the College Board website. I've also linked it, but essentially it is called the 2020 AP Exam Day Checklist, and it can be found here. And it walks you through all of the different precautions or preparations that you need to take prior to the AP exam. If you wanted to print this off and fill it out so you had it all right here, I would encourage it. But once again, you could just follow this. So it goes through three different phases. Are you ready to test? And it's going to have all these different kind of check boxes. They're all things that I've gone over, like the proper browser. If I'm going to be typing, what is my AP ID and are my initials on the top of the document? You can actually create that document before you test and have it ready to go. So it's just a Google Doc brought up with your AP ID and your initials on it so that you can just start typing underneath if you'd like. Did you review the exam security guidelines? We talked about that and the consequences. If you had accommodations, which I'm not certain that many of you did, but if you have accommodations, you can check those there. You're going to ignore these things. These are, unless you're taking world language or culture exams, you can read these, but your teacher should kind of show you about that. And then during the exam, once it's started, these are some things you need to keep in mind. You're not going to refresh the browser or use the back arrow. You're going to keep the exam question open on your device, hopefully that side-by-side format, so that you can see the timer and the 5-minute warning. When it's on screen, it starts getting red, you want to go ahead and stop typing, and you want to go ahead and, start uploading. If you accidentally this one's a good one. If you accidentally close your browser or tab or temporarily lose your internet connection or some other disruption, you can go back to that e-ticket in your email. So I encourage you to put a star by it or save it or something so that you can rejoin the exam. If you can't rejoin the exam for some reason, we can talk about that. And you see, your AP exam is not complete message. There is a way to request a makeup. There is a makeup day in June. That's for extenuating circumstances, like you lose tech or you have a major disruption or you're sick the day of. You need to let me know if anything goes down by sending me a text or calling me on Remind or something of that nature. And then after the exam, what I would encourage you to do is after the exam and you see that submission confirmation, I would get onto my AP Classroom and see that its STED exam has been submitted. You can send your scores. You won't get your scores till probably July 15th. It's kind of pushed back this year because everybody, the way that they're scoring it is going to be all online. But you can submit your AP scores for free to colleges and universities but you have to like note that by June 20th. And so if you're like really confident and you're like, hey, screw it, I'm just going to do it, then by all means. If not, then there is a fee after June 20th. So if you wanted to wait to get your AP score and then submit it, you could go ahead and pay $15 later on, and then you would submit your score through College Board that way. If you know anything about cheating, they're encouraging you to report that cheating. I just encourage you, just don't do it. So that's where we're at. I hope that things are going well for you, that you guys have, everything that you need. If you don't, or if you have questions, reach out to me. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have. I miss you guys a lot, and I hope that everything is going well. I'll talk to you soon. We're almost there.